Coming up, 26 hours and counting before the government runs out of money. Republicans and Democrats spend the day talking tough, but not doing much to break the budget stalemate.
And a day of mourning and new questions in Israel. Thousands rallied to remember Yitzhak Rabin amid reports that police had warning of his assassination. It's all next on the Fox 10 o'clock news.
This Monday after Melrose Place.
I think we should talk.
You could use a good laugh. First, for anyone who's ever thought of eloping,
Don't you think it's romantic?
think again.
Right up there with changing planes in Calcutta.
Catch a brand new partners. Then, how bad are Stacy's money troubles?
Well, you owe $28,000. You got about $15. You're on your way.
Olivia Newton-John guest stars.
Strange girl.
Ned and Stacy following Partners Monday on Fox Philadelphia.
I got it!
Tap the Rockies, cruise light. Tap the Rockies, cruise light. Hey!
Coors Light, the silver bullet. It's shipped cold to tap the clean taste of the Rockies.
Tap the Rockies, cruise light.
On the next episode of Seinfeld.
I don't know, 6'3".
Monday at 7:30 on Fox Philadelphia. Catch America's favorite family, The Simpsons, weeknights at 6 on Fox. And now, Philadelphia's first primetime news hour, the Fox 10 o'clock news.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rich Noonan.
And I'm Tracy Matisak. Here's what's happening tonight. The clock is ticking and the ball is now in President Clinton's court. A few hours ago, House Speaker Newt Gingrich signed a bill that would keep the government from going into default and shutting down tomorrow night. President Clinton has promised to veto the measure because he doesn't like several of the conditions attached to it. The president is calling for a meeting with congressional leaders tomorrow to try to break the impasse. But first, he wants Republicans to drop a provision that would raise Medicare premiums. Jan Fisher has more on the standoff and on what it means for those caught in the middle.
If the president is worried about a possible financial crisis tomorrow at midnight, he showed no outward signs as he left church services in Washington this morning. Non-essential functions of the government could be forced to a close on Tuesday.
He's going to shut down the entire federal government because he thinks it'll be a little political gain for him with senior citizens.
Republicans have passed a resolution that would continue funding government operations, but the deal comes with strings attached. Lower Medicare premiums for seniors would be eliminated.
I don't think the president should be negotiating. You don't give in to people holding a pistol at your head.
The possible shutdown would cause about 800,000 federal workers to be laid off. Non-essential services would not be affected. Neither rain nor snow nor lack of funding will affect mail. Commuters and travelers on Amtrak will have no problems. Planes will continue flying. Air traffic controllers will still be on the job. But tourists wanting a close-up look at the Liberty Bell will be disappointed. National monuments will be closed, and clerks who take orders for passports and applications for Social Security will be off the job. The long-term effects could be much more serious.
I don't think we can have a shutdown of the government, and I don't think it is wise to put the credit of the United States in any jeopardy. I think we really have to work it out.
The Washington stalemate could affect the nation's economy. Confidence in Uncle Sam's ability to pay his bills could be shaken. The result could be higher borrowing costs for consumers. Municipal bond rates might fall. Public projects could be canceled. The worst-case scenario, the nation's economy could be in trouble. No one really expects all that to happen, but the White House has drawn a line in the sand and is apparently refusing to give way to the Republicans and their conservative agenda.
Their contract for America is not going anywhere. Its most extreme elements are not going to be enacted.
Thus far, there's been no face-to-face between the president and congressional leaders unless there's compromise by midnight tomorrow. voters may have a whole new set of issues to consider in November. Jan Fisher, the Fox 10 o'clock News.
In the Philadelphia region, the hundreds of thousands of people who use SEPTA every day might soon feel the crunch of budget cuts. The federal government wants to cut the transit authority's funding, and Amtrak wants SEPTA to pay more rent. The only immediate answer to SEPTA's problems might be found in the governor's office. Rich Maneri reports.
The ride for SEPTA is never smooth, and it is about to get rougher. Congress has already passed a bill which will reduce funding for transit agencies like SEPTA by about 12%.
That would, in effect, cause us to probably have to consider either service cuts or raising our own rates.
Outraged by the legislation, which now awaits the president's signature, the Pennsylvania Coalition for Transportation is petitioning Governor Ridge to support a $350 million state funding measure.
Public transportation is essential to the life of Philadelphia. Without public transportation, we are in very, very deep trouble.
Compounding SEPTA's dilemma is Amtrak, also a victim of federal budget cuts. Amtrak wants to charge commuter rail operators like SEPTA more to use its tracks. An Amtrak spokesman told us by telephone that it's just a matter of SEPTA paying what it owes.
It's been agreed that the commuter railroads have not been paying the actual cost of their operation to operate on the Northeast Corridor.
SEPTA's problems don't end with Amtrak and the federal government. It is also losing riders and millions of dollars. If you think the end result of all of this will be a fare increase, that might be the good news.
It would be dismantling current ridership and mass transit as we know it.
SEPTA is in a familiar position, wondering where the money will come from. Riders are also in a familiar position, wondering if it will come from them. Rich Maneri, the Fox 10 o'clock News.
Riders of SEPTA's Red Arrow division can head back to work tomorrow without the threat of a strike on their minds. Union members voted today to ratify a new 3-year agreement with the transit agency. Some 21,000 people ride Red Arrow's 3 rail and 21 bus lines. The union contract had expired on April 1st.
That nasty storm that rolled through our area last night did not go quietly. Trees and limbs came down all over the place. This tree came crashing down on the roof of a home on Marion Avenue in Deptford, New Jersey. The house sustained heavy damage. 3 cars in the driveway were smashed. No injuries. A big cinder block wall on Chews Landing Road in Gloucester Township came crashing down. The old shopping center was under construction. The wall and scaffolding looked like a tornado hit it. Frank will be along a bit later to tell us about the next storm headed our way. It could mean some snow for some of us. The bad weather led to an emergency landing of an American Airlines jet in Connecticut overnight. One person was hurt when the MD-80 carrying 72 people was caught in a wind shear. Wind gusts of 51 miles per hour were reported at Bradley Airport in Windsor Locks, Connecticut. The plane's wings and landing gear were damaged. The passengers remained calm and even gave the pilot an ovation after the plane's tires hit the tarmac.
The FBI has arrested 3 people who were allegedly planning to detonate a fertilizer bomb in an Oklahoma religious community. Officials say 65-year-old Ray Lampley, his wife Cecilia, and a friend John Baird are being held without bond on conspiracy charges. Lampley has reportedly been mailing apocalyptic letters to Oklahoma state and federal leaders for weeks. Police say the group had targeted a white separatist community in an Elohim city for an attack. A raid of Lampley's home netted police bomb-making materials. The FBI says the arrests are not related to April's bombing of the Murrah Federal Building.
And coming up, as mentioned, Frank has a forecast that includes the S word for the first time in the season.
Thousands of Israelis rally for peace in memory of Yitzhak Rabin.
The space shuttle blasts off for a rendezvous with the Russians.
And it's a dream come true for 2 lovebirds at the Eagles game. Those stories next on the Fox 10 o'clock News.
This portion of the 10 o'clock news is brought to you by Prism, your channel for Flyers hockey and feature films.
I'm like some kind of magnet for free stuff. Steak knives, travel alarms, and those stinking football telephones. All crapola. Except what I got just for ordering Prism. A $25 gift certificate to JCPenney. Plus Lindros and the Flyers, Stackhouse and the Sixers, and more movies than I could sneak into in 2 lifetimes. Hey, the same deal's yours if you get on the horn and order Prism today. I ain't never got as much use out of anything I got for free. Well, maybe one thing.
The Geo Prism has a beautiful interior and comes with standard dual airbags, crush zones, reinforced door pillars, and a rugged steel safety cage, which helps explain why the interior still looks this beautiful, even when it's in this car. Geo Prism. Call 1-800-GET-TO-KNOW and get to know Geo Prism.
There's a new gasoline.
What's new about it?
With the power to drive down maintenance costs.
Really? Are you serious?
Yes, we are. New Exxon 93 Supreme keeps your engine cleaner,
Clean is good.
so it can help drive down maintenance costs.
Could gas do that?
New Exxon 93 Supreme can, with the power to drive down maintenance costs
Gas that can save you money.
for more reliable performance.
Okay, I'll try it.
People stopping by to rely on the Tiger.
On November 17th, United Artists brings you the return of Bond.
James Bond.
GoldenEye, rated PG-13, starts Friday. On the information superhighway, you need more than the latest technology. You need a very powerful drive. The Chevy Blazer with the Vortec V6. It's nice to know it's there.
For the first time since the start of the Civil War in the former Yugoslavia, two factions have settled their differences peacefully. Rebel Croatian Serbs signed an agreement to rejoin Croatia today. The truce ends one of the smaller battles that threatened to derail the peace process for all of the former Yugoslavia. The Croatian Serbs have agreed to a one-year transition to Croatian rule, a transition which will be monitored by UN peacekeepers.
Security officials in Israel say they received a tip that right-wing extremists had a plot to kill Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin and even had a description of his eventual assassin. The tip came in June from a friend of Yigal Amir who confessed to the killing last week. As the investigation into why the tip was not followed up continues, thousands gather today to mourn Rabin in the Tel Aviv square that now bears his name. Walter Rogers reports.
A lone trumpet summoned up a multitude of mourners a week and a day after Yitzhak Rabin was slain in this very Tel Aviv square. Rabin's grandson lighted a torch, illuminating a throng that did not want to let go of the Prime Minister's memory. This seemed as much a memorial service as a peace rally. Rabin's widow spoke passionately to her dead husband of his legacy.
And now the unspoken majority will turn into a majority that won't be quieted, that will perform and strengthen the continuation of your way to peace.
Mrs. Rabin then called on acting Prime Minister Shimon Peres to follow her late husband's path to peace in the Middle East, a promise Peres made earlier at the Labor Party's own emotion-charged memorial service. In the Tel Aviv rally, however, there were many who do worry the peace process may falter now.
It could lead to disaster, a major disaster. We've already had a major disaster. We can't afford to have another one.
One has a terrible sense of déjà vu standing amid this throng of Israelis, like an earlier generation of Americans who demonstrated against war and for peace, and who were traumatized by political assassination. These Israeli youngsters seem to share that same sense of foreboding, a genuine fear for their own futures.
Civil war can be a really strong word, but this is exactly what I feel.
Civil war.
Absolutely.
If this memorial service had a theme, it was a plea for an end to violence, a plea for peace, and it was not without hope.
I'm more optimistic than before, even though it happened.
Why?
Because I think that this is something that can't stop now.
That was a prayer on the lips and in the hearts of many who gathered here, and they lifted their voices in what has become Israel's new anthem of peace. Walter Rogers, Tel Aviv.
At least 42 people are dead after two avalanches near Mount Everest in Nepal. In the first, 25 people, including a group of 13 Japanese hikers, died when a wall of snow, ice, and rock buried them on the mountainside in the middle of the night. 19 people were rescued with helicopters. Later, another 17 people died when earth and mud loosened by heavy rains buried several houses and lodges.
Early morning clouds were not enough to keep the space shuttle Atlantis on the ground for a second day. It roared into space for a rendezvous with the space station Mir.
And liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis with the Russian docking module, the threshold to world cooperation in space.
The Atlantis is due to dock with the Russian space station on Wednesday using a special docking device currently in its payload bay. The device will remain on board Mir to be used in 5 more dockings with space shuttles.
And coming up tonight, Steffi steals the show at the Advanta Tennis Championships.
And the Flyers try to stick a fork in the Devils at the Spectrum.
Walt Disney Pictures presents the voices of Tom Hanks and Home Improvement's Tim Allen in a movie where toys come alive.
There's no place like home. Come on, this way.
Negative. It'll be much safer in the cockpit.
For your chance to win 3 movie passes, send a postcard with your name, address, and phone number to this address. Brought to you by Fox Philadelphia and the New Jersey State Aquarium. Start your new year with a splash at the New Jersey State Aquarium, Sunday, December 31st. For tickets, call 609-665-2500 or 215-336-2000. New Year's Eve splash, only at the New Jersey State Aquarium.
What would happen if I asked Sydney Way to be my date at the state dinner on Thursday evening?
This isn't happening to me.
President can't just go out on a date.
What do you have? Big date tonight?
She didn't say anything about me.
Well, no, sir, but I could pass her a note before study hall.
Dig it, Miss Wade. You're the president's girlfriend.
Michael Douglas, Annette Bening, in a Rob Reiner film.
I'm gonna hop out at the flower shop.
No hopping, sir.
The American President. Rated PG-13. At theaters Friday.
Working in the city can get to you after a while. I commuted for 20 years until one day I just snapped and said enough is enough. So I gave it all up and started working out of my house. I thought it would be a nice change of pace. Hey, you! Get off my lawn!
Staples has everything you need to work out of your home. The guaranteed low price on over 5,000 office supplies.
I don't care if you're the mailman!
Staples. Yeah, we've got that.
Trapped in your old car? Oh, more than it's worth?
Help! I'm stuck!
Thanks. Through Monday, Potemkin Auto Discount Center offers you a great escape from your current lease or loan. So you can drive a new Toyota, Chrysler, Plymouth, Jeep, Eagle, Hyundai, Isuzu, Volkswagen, or Mitsubishi. Plus, once we make a deal, we'll pay off your trade no matter how much you owe. Get out of your old car and get a new car from Potemkin. Baltimore Pike on the Golden Mile, Springfield.
Some of South Jersey's participants in the Million Man March were honored today for their commitment to the community. The women in support and dedication of the Million Man March, or Wisdom, held a welcome home reception for the marchers. The program featured a prayer service, inspirational words, and the reading of a dramatic poem. Wisdom members say it is their way of saying thank you to the many men of the march.
There were wedding bands instead of marching bands during the halftime at the Eagles game tonight. Linda Przychowski and Stephen Rule marched down the field to the 50-yard line where they tied the knot. The couple says they've been planning a small wedding, but the bride won a contest at a local department store. They ended up with 100 invited guests and about 60,000 witnesses. Of course, the bridesmaids wore Eagles green. Let's hope the Eagles won't end up as bridesmaids against the Broncos. Congratulations and good luck. Well, because of the Eagles game, we have Carl in now for a short sportscast, and the entire Sports Sunday will be after the game, correct?
That is correct, sir. Eagles playing like a bunch of dudes with tudes tonight before a national TV audience, which is the reason we can't show it to you right now. Birds and Denver Broncos are in the fourth quarter at this moment. Eagles scoring